Hello and welcome to our webinar on Cami. Cami is an online document annotation and markup tool. My name is Amy Fosek and I will be presenting alongside Jason Spence. We are both technology and innovation coaches for the district. During this 1-hour training, you will receive an overview of the tool, and we will also allow for questions and time at the end for you to explore the tool. If you have questions arise during the webinar, please feel free to utilize the chat feature and place your questions in there. I will do my best to answer them as quickly as possible. This webinar, along with the other webinars that are available in your catalog, will be recorded. We will be placing a link to the recordings of the webinar in the professional development catalog.
So the first link we have is the Cami Chrome extension, and that is if you would like easier access to use this tool going forward. Again, if you're on the presentation, that link will take you right to the extension so you can install it. It's great to keep that link so you can give it to your kid or your students as well. If you're interested in using Cami with Canvas, there's actually going to be 2 PD sessions on the 25th next week at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And those are run by Brenda Gillis, and she'll show you how to get those 2 integrated so that when you are using Canvas and you're making assignments, that you can build that into your assignments without having to go to Cami. The link on the bottom is getting started with Cami, so that's where we're going to start. I'm going to show you. Again, you do not need to go there. You can just watch my screen, and at the end, we're going to have plenty of time for you to go to the site and kind of figure out how it all works after you watch kind of how I do it. And if you didn't know, Cami is providing free upgraded education accounts as long as your school district is working virtually, which ours is until the end of the year. So if you click that link, it's going to send you to a site where you can let Cami know that you're working until the end of the year, and they'll upgrade you to the education account for free. But they also give you 60 days for free. So even if you don't do it right away, once you sign into Cami, it's going to give you 60 free days to trial the education account. But like I said, make sure you go and fill out this portion so that they know you're working virtually, and they'll extend that all the way out through the end of the year.
Jason, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just a quick reminder, if we are letting teachers in as soon as they are joining the waiting room, if you have someone reaching out to you saying that they are stuck in the waiting room and not being let in, will you please send them the link that you are using, because they might be in an incorrect Zoom waiting room.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. The first site I'm going to show you is the Cami site, and that's at camiapp.com. Again, if you're just following along, that's great, because you're going to get a chance to do this later. When you get here, it's really great because this app you can add to your My Plan for your students. And since it's sign in with Google, it's literally them clicking an icon on their My Plan page, and it will log them right into Cami. So it's a real seamless process, no matter what the grade. So when I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. You can also create account if you haven't, but I already have. So I click sign in. I have a red squiggle on my screen. I have no idea how that got there. And you'll see that my trial ends in 49 days, but I actually did sign up for that free teacher account. So it keeps just rolling over into a new trial. So even if it says it's going to end in that amount of time, it just rolls it over. So I've had this account since March, and it's that upgraded education account. Okay, so once you're in here, it's going to allow you to open PDF files from different places. And one place you can open it is from Google Drive. If you're working on a laptop or a desktop computer, you can open it from your hard drive as well. So either of those options are available. So I'm going to open from Google Drive. And when I do that, it's going to load up my Google Drive screen. And I'm going to actually go straight to PDF files. Since I am annotating PDFs, there's no reason for me to look through the rest of my drive. I just want to find one of those. And for this, I'm just going to pick a PDF file. And this could be any PDF file you have in your Google Drive or on your hard drive. Click select, and it's gonna load it into Kami, like you see here. Okay, so when you first get in here, sometimes it's gonna come up with a screen, and it's going to ask if you would like for them to use OCR on your document. All that means is it's going to read through the document and process the words on the page, and I'm going to tell you why that's important. I would say go ahead, yes, and say yes to it, but if you, for some reason, said no, or it didn't pop up, if you click these 3 bars right here and click OCR for scan PDFs, it's going to run OCR on the page. Like I said, it's going to figure out what every word is. And it's taking a second here, and it should be done. And it's hanging out. I've already run OCR on this page. So once you've run OCR, it's going to allow you to do certain things. So now it understands the word on the page. So if I go to text to speech, right up here on the left, I can highlight any sentence, and it will read it to me.
My teacher's name is.
Oh, I left it on the Spanish accent. So I'm going to go ahead and move that back up to someone else. And there it goes. I'm going to highlight this sentence.
Malgrado diceris.
And I do not know. Let's try the default voice.
This is how I write my name.
Okay. So if you have students, especially young students, it does have a text-to-speech function for them. So any part of the page, they can use that in order to have it read to them. Now, if they have a word like grade and they don't understand what it means, they can click the dictionary and just double-click on a word, and it will bring up the definition. It does not have text-to-speech in here, but all students automatically have read and write for Google. If you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's a Chrome extension, and it's a purple puzzle piece, like the one you see here. And when they click on it, it's going to bring up this little bar here. And we don't have the paid version, but what's great is in the free version, you can do text-to-speech for any sort of document that you have, PDF files, Google Docs, automatically. So that way a student can then highlight, click play.
A particular level of rank, quality, proficiency, or value.
Okay.
2. Verb.
And then they can pause it. So if they want to listen to the whole thing, they can. That's read and write for Google. That's the little purple puzzle piece up here. So whenever you want to have that, it's a great feature, honestly, for anything they're using. Okay, so I'm going to close that back up and go back to my document. Okay, so Kami can annotate a lot of different things on your PDF files. One of those is highlights. So if you click Markup, students can actually go to a lot of different colors that they can choose from in order to highlight. I'm just going to pick standard yellow, and I can make a box around there. I can do another color if I'd like to highlight that. And that's the markup feature. There is a comment feature. So if you do work in assignments, what's great is this is a living document, just like a Google Doc. So if you want, you can always comment somewhere on the document. Say you want to return it to a student and kind of notify them of something. So you click comment and you pick somewhere on the page, like right here. Click here. All right, so I click here. And when you return it to the student, they're going to see this line with this yellow dot. And when they click it, that's when they're going to see your name as well as what you want them to do. So, I mean, this is obviously not a required feature. This is just if you do want to go into your students' work and make comments and then return it to them, you can do that on this PDF annotator. Okay. I'm going to skip text box for now. I'll go over that in a bit. Equations. So it does do some math language. So if you click the little pi symbol here, you'll notice some math symbols that you could then use on the page if you wanted. So that's always an option. So math worksheets, you could, if you do have some digital math worksheets that you would like to have your students use, then you can put those inside of, well, you can actually assign those PDFs to your students. They'll just open them in Kami and they'll start using that. All right, there is a drawing feature too. Again, lots of colors to choose from, and you click that and save, and then you can just draw however you want. I'm not good at art. That's why I do what I do for a living. So maybe that's an ice cream cone, but who knows. So you'll see also on here, there's a little number. So basically, if you want to make your drawing a bit more fine, you can go down this scale and do stuff like that. So it lets you draw in different ways. And that's helpful if you want kids to like be circling things on a worksheet, or if you do want them to draw out something on a worksheet. That wouldn't be something you could do in Google Docs. So it's kind of helpful to have that feature on a PDF annotator where you can do it. If they would like to be a little more clear with things, they can obviously do shapes. And that's kind of nice. So that, like I said, if you want them to build something that looks a little more accurate, since it can be kind of difficult to use the touchpad to draw, then you can do that. So there's a lot. They can do rectangles, circles, again, multiple colors they can use, or they can just insert a line and then put in a bunch of lines and make their own object. Okay. There's an eraser, which is great. Unfortunately, it won't erase that red thing that's apparently on through Zoom. But you can erase anything on your document if you don't like the way that it looks. So students have that option. Images. So they can, if they have an image, maybe it's something that they've worked on separately. Maybe you had them do something in Google Slides and they took a screenshot of that slide, and now you want them to insert it into another document as maybe part of a portfolio piece where you're going to have them insert multiple images. They can insert images, whether it's from their hard drive or their Google Drive, or they can actually use Google search. So if they'd like to search their own images through Google, they can do that as well. So if you say you want a picture of a frog or a puppy, something like that, you click puppy, and I can click this, select, and now I can just drop that right into my document. And what's really great is that I can make it smaller and move it around. So that's an option as well. The signature feature, I don't think you're going to need to use that. I guess this is for real estate documents too. But yeah, so you're probably not going to need to take advantage of the signature feature. So I'm going to go back to the text box feature. And before that, I'm going to just interrupt Amy. Amy, are we doing fine on questions? Is there anything you're hearing over and over?
Yes, so we're doing okay. So can you just go over the text-to-speech function one more time, please?
Oh, sure. Yeah, okay. So there's going to be two ways to do this. When I click text-to-speech, if I highlight something on the PDF, now that I've ran OCR.
Today I read you. This is how I write my name, my grade.
All right, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just highlight that.
My teacher's name is.
Yeah, so that's the text-to-speech feature. What I was explaining earlier was that if they want to go to the dictionary and look up something, like, it's not reading that word. So that they could basically click the purple puzzle piece, and they could read it using this. And now it's causing issues. So maybe it's because there it goes.
The imaginary quantity equal to the square root of -1. 2. Pronoun. Used by.
All right. So yeah, they can use read and write for Google anytime they want, even with words on the document. So even if they didn't have a text-to-speech feature, they can always use read and write for Google. So yeah, that's the text-to-speech feature. There's also one more, and I'm going to go over that next, which is the text box tool. So when I click that, make sure that when you're showing kids this, that they understand this is just like any other worksheet. They're not going to use yellow to write out their words. So make sure that they understand it's just like any other worksheet. They can use dark blue or black. And anywhere that they click, Um, they can write and then they can move it. So you can actually grab it and move it around so that it fits better. You can make it a bit smaller so that you know that it fits in a certain part. So it can look very neat because it's easy to correct and fix mistakes that you make. You'll notice I wrote something and this bar showed up. What you can actually do is you can change the font if you want. I typically don't get into this with students because I'm not interested in them changing fonts over and over or making the size bigger. Obviously, if they wanted to, they could, but this is ridiculously big. So the defaults seem to be pretty good size. And so I don't really go over with them all these features. But at least you'll know that if they are getting into these features and they're making their words really big, you'll know how to fix it for them or tell them how to fix it. Right here, the 1.5 point is the spacing and line height. You got bold, italic, underline, strike through, the color of the text. It can automatically be highlighted. So there's a lot of features here. One feature that's really nice, especially for certain students, is the feature right here. You're going to see a little microphone and it's voice typing. And it's pretty accurate. So I'm going to turn this on. And you turn it on by clicking it. This is another sentence that I'm saying right now, period. And then I click it again and it turns off. And so if you have students that just writing isn't their thing, or they struggle with writing, or sometimes they're better at saying things than writing them, you can always have them use that voice typing feature. And as you saw, it fills it up pretty accurately. They'll have to go in and probably fix a few things. Or just understand you have to say things like comma, period, capital T, things like that. Again, what's really great is this one feature right here. So anything in the document, I'm going to highlight this sentence right here. And you can actually click this little link button. And you can actually link to other sites. So I obviously would have my students, if they're doing a worksheet about maybe a project they worked on, I would have them put in links to Google slide presentations, maybe Flipgrid videos, things they've created so that when they do turn in this final sheet to me, it's going to have all the links to their files where they created something. So that's what makes it obviously a bit more interactive than just a regular digital worksheet. This allows them to put in links. It has text to speech. So there's some features that make it a bit better than just regular worksheets. Okay, so those are kind of all the features and functions that students can use when they're annotating. Everything is over here on the left. Again, what I tell teachers to do is click the the three lines and make sure, like if you have a document and you know that it's not OCR, because usually that requires special software from like Adobe Acrobat, where it's reading the document for you. If you want, you can open your PDF file in Kami, run OCR, then save it again. And then when you give that assignment to students using that new document, it will already have OCR on it. So students don't have to do that. Okay. So yes, that's really important. Remember that when you are opening your documents, you want OCR ran on it. So it's a nice little feature to have. So I'm going to click off of there. When your student is done with their sheet, and hopefully it looks a lot better than mine, they're gonna save it to Google Drive. So they do that by going up here top. There's a little floppy or a hard disk right over there. And right to the right, there's a little download button. You see the arrow pointing down. And every student, including yourself, when you're doing it, you're going to click that. And you're going to see that it says Google Drive. Now, if you want to download it to your hard drive, that's fine. But most students, if they're using a Chromebook, there's no difference between the two. Whether they pick computer or Google Drive, it's a cloud device, so it's going to download it to the same place. So I just tell them to do Google Drive just because I don't want to get into the whole cloud drives and all that stuff with them. So I say click Google Drive. With annotations, it defaults to that. They can name it what they want. They can pick however many pages they want to do, and they can begin export. So all the defaults are kind of what they want to go with. Google with annotations. I don't want to flatten annotations. What that means is when you flatten your annotations, that means when someone else opens it up, they're not going to be able to make changes to it. So you want that document to be living and something that maybe they could change later. So I don't really ever have them do that. I just begin export. And it's going to process and save my document to Google Drive. And that's it. So when I open Google Drive, it's going to take a second, but it's going to take me right to that file. So if I'm a student, now it's great. I have your digital worksheet. I've filled it out. I've saved it with annotations. It takes me right to it, and now I'm ready. I can turn it into my teacher's learning management system of choice. So if that's Canvas, that's great because they integrate together. And what makes that nice is that it's going to be seamless because it'll be more of a one-step process. Again, if you really are interested in that and you use Canvas, make sure you go to that professional development next week so that you can kind of see how that works. But if you use Google Classroom or what other LMS you're using, I don't know, it works with that as well. So, and the student can turn in this document from Google Drive to either of those, no problem, even without integration. So you don't have to worry about like, okay, what do students need to do now? Well, now they go back to the assignment, and when they attach files, this is the file they're going to attach, and it's ready to go. So, all right.
So there's some questions in the chat, Jason. I'm trying to get to all of them. Again, if somehow I have missed your question, please go ahead and re-put that in the chat. One question is with regards to training for students and teachers. My suggestion in training your students would be to do just what Jason is doing. So take them through a screen share process where you can show them all of the tools and model it for them, and then give them time to discover on their own. With regards to parents, our department is working on putting out training videos for parents on all district supported tools.
Yeah, those videos are kind of to tell parents like this is what Cami is. It's a PDF annotator. It's meant so that students can do digital worksheets in an interactive way. Sort of so that parents know, like when they hear Cami, they're not like, what's Cami? That doesn't make sense. So that they know, oh, that's what you do to fill out certain worksheets that your teacher gives to you. And so that parents are more familiar with like the names of these tools, so that when you're discussing them with them, it's less of a headache for you, so that you'll have an easy chance to just say, this is what the tool is. And the parent says, oh yeah, I remember watching that video.
Jason, do you mind going over again 2 things for me? One, how if they were using the extension of read and write, how they would use that to have it read to them as a student, as well
Sure.
as how you would import something from your drive into Cami.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Here, let me, where's my recent? All right, let me reload this page. Okay. I'm going to start, like, you can start with Cami, and once you sign in, you can open your Google Drive and pull in your PDF files, but that's not the only way. Like I talked about earlier, and we're going to show you once we're done with this training so that you can have a chance to download it. There is a Cami extension on Chrome, and this is what it does. So if I open a PDF file in Google Drive, it's going to show me what it looks like, but I can click up here where it says open with, and it's going to say annotate with Cami. So I can go to Cami and I can pull in PDF files, but I don't need to do that. I can start at Google Drive and I can be working from there. And when I click on that, it's just going to basically open a PDF file with Cami. And you're going to see it's going to load exactly like the other one with all of the annotations ready to go. And I can open it that way. Okay. And as far as read and write, I'm going to show you in here. So I'm not even in Cami. So I'm in Google Drive. So I'm going to load up read and write, and I'm going to highlight. Nope, I do not want to. It's going to make me highlight everything. It's making me highlight everything. Maybe it won't make me if I do this part over here. I didn't do OCR on that one. All right, let's see if I can do this one. Nope, it's making me do the whole thing. I'd much rather do it in Cami then. So I'm going to open Read and Write. I click the purple puzzle piece, and you'll see those features come up here. Like I said, we do not have a premium Read and Write account, so it's just the basic feature, which is really reading to you. So I'm going to click on select. That way I can highlight this. It does not want me to highlight here. Here, I'll just do text to speech. And
My grade this year is.
So you'll notice Cami did it, but I want to show you like, you're going to have to, yeah. So I guess you wouldn't use Read and Write for this unless it's, like I said, you can highlight. I'm going to go to dictionary and let's see. There, it'll let me in dictionary. So that's probably the best way to go. So if you have the kid click dictionary, you can highlight statements and then click the play button.
My grade this year is my teacher.
Now it won't stop with Read and Write. It will read the whole thing. So typically, yeah, it'll stop like you highlight one place and it will just continue to go.
My grade this year is my teacher's name is, my best friend is, my favorite book is.
So yeah, it even highlights it and then highlights the word as it's being read as well.
Two other things I wanted to just mention. The first is I went ahead in the chat and put a link to an article that goes over making specific modifications for students in special education or other adaptations you need to make for students in the chat that you can access. I also put one in there that is Cami for English as a second language, and it goes over on how to translate your resources for Cami, as well as using your translated document within Cami. So both of those articles are accessible for you in the chat. Another question for you, Jason, is can you just go over how teachers would have their students add Cami to their Chromebooks?
Well, there's, you know what, I wouldn't have them, I would have them add it on ClassLink. In fact, I'm pretty certain, and forgive me because we don't know everything about ClassLink yet, but maybe Amy, you can tell me, aren't teachers allowed to add apps for students on the new My Plan?
Yes, so within
Okay.
ClassLink, as a teacher, you can customize your apps that your students see, because we know that there are some teachers who prefer their students to use one app over another, and you can customize it for your students, and there will be a training on this as well.
Yes, and just to show you really quick, my page looks different because I don't have a classroom and they can't give me a fake classroom. But what you do is, like, when you want to add apps for students, you click Add Apps. You're going to type in Cami, and it's going to come up like that. And you'll just click Add, and then it will be on their page. And really, this is all the students then going to do. Watch. So they'll click Cami, loading application, and it takes them right to that screen where they can then open a file from their Google Drive and begin working. And that's really how easy it's going to be. So think of the My Plan, the new My Plan is kind of like that foundational space. Like, how do I get kids on all this stuff? You're going to get to be in charge of that. So it's no longer like there's certain apps on My Plan. You as the teacher get to decide what apps are on that screen so that it's easier for students to get the places they need to go. All right, so Amy and I are going to stay in the chat room for the rest of the hour, so for another 25 minutes. Right now, what you might want to do is here, we'll put this link back up. If you haven't already, enter this link, bit.ly/Cami for Classrooms. That's going to take you to this presentation that has links on the third slide for the Cami extension, for Cami itself, as well as dates for the Canvas integration with Cami, that you can go to that professional development. Also, Amy and I are going to add those links that she left in the chat room on a new slide. Hopefully, maybe this afternoon if we can get to it. So that way, when you come back to this presentation, you'll have all the links that you need ready to go. And this presentation is not going anywhere. So if you'd like to bookmark it, we're going to keep it up for good. So, and a copy of this webinar should be available on that flyer within 48 hours so that you can come back if you want to check out this webinar again. Feel free to do so.
So somebody just asked a question regarding students collaborating within CAMI, and I did just check on that, and this can be done by the teacher setting up specific teams and sending it out as a, it would have to be as a shared assignment within Canvas.
Yeah.
And then with regards to the ClassLink training, there will be a ClassLink training that is offered to all teachers once teachers have their official start of work.
Yeah, there's different trainings. Once you all start work, there's going to be separate trainings apart from these. These are more like optional since you're all still on summer break, so that if you want to come and learn about some other things. But the more, I hate to say important things, but learning and knowing ClassLink or the new My Plan is obviously very important. So yeah, you'll do that when you go back. All right, so Shauna, you're saying, can you show how to add a document to a student's Google Drive? Can you clarify what that means? Like as far as Cammy's concerned, when you say that, what does that mean? Jesse, the problem with creating a how-to video, it's just like doing a webinar. It leads to a lot more questions as well. And that's kind of why it's nice to like do that exploration. I always give them kind of a PDF file that doesn't matter. And I tell them to click all the buttons. And then we discuss afterwards, like, what did you learn? What did you see? Like, what can you share with the class? And usually it's really good at getting kind of them learning a lot of things on their own. I don't mind showing them some things. But it's really nice for them to kind of have that time to explore because they, I mean, from what I found, you know, it doesn't matter the grade level. 15 minutes of exploration with it usually leads to them understanding how to use the tool. So. And if you were messaging me privately while I was doing the training, sorry, I did not have the chat box up. So I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you, I promise.
And unfortunately, Cami is not like the Canvas homepage where you can turn on or off specific resources that are offered in Cami. Like you cannot turn off the dictionary feature or the text-to-speech feature. Students will all have access to those.
Okay, Shauna, I will show you. So once the student is done with their PDF, you will have them save it to Google Drive with annotations. You do that by once they're done, they'll just go up here to this icon that says download. It's like a little computer device with a down arrow. Click that. Usually you'll keep all the defaults. You want them to save it to Google Drive. You want to keep annotations so that because if they save it to the original, then that means it just gets rid of everything. So you want to make sure that they're saving their annotations, and then they would just click begin export. At that point, it's going to bring up a screen. It's going to save it to Google Drive. And at that point, if you're using Canvas and you have an assignment, they'll be able to add that Google file right to the assignment, so you'll be able to see the document.
And yes, you can, if you were using this as a teacher tool and you wanted to just make annotations, you can save the annotated doc that you created and send it to students, and they wouldn't automatically have access to annotate.
And Susanna says you can't use it for a test. No, I mean, you can. I mean, it's really there. I mean, the only way to like really ensure that they can't go to other places on a test is if like you're using Google Forms testing feature where it basically maximizes the screen so that they can't get out of the quiz until they finish. But like no matter what, like there's not really many ways where you're going to be able to prevent them from exploring different places when they're taking a test, unfortunately.
And Lauren, I just saw your question about the sign up. So you will have access to the free trial that Cami is providing, which has all of the paid versions included for as long as Cami chooses to offer that. As soon as they take that piece away, you will still be able to use Cami, but you will only be able to access the free features.
Cindy said, maybe, how would you go about assigning a page to students using Cami? So next week, they're going to do that Canvas training. So Brenda's going to show you how in Canvas you're going to be able to assign something from Cami using Canvas. So that's not something we're really showing here today. This is more like a introduction to the Cami tool. So if you go to that PD next week, they're going to show you how to create an assignment, add Cami into it with SpeedGrader and all that stuff. I know that they're going over that next week. Tori, you said, can I annotate a Google Doc, save it, and then share it with students as a saved PDF? Yes. If you're in a Google Doc and you click File, and I believe it is Download As, PDF is one of the options. And there's actually a bunch. So your Google Docs can actually be saved as a lot of different types of documents, but PDF is one of them. So if you have any sort of sheet that you would like them to annotate on that was created in Google Docs, go ahead and click File, Download As, and then pick PDF.
I also put into the chat a link to our PUSD Digital Teaching Resources page. That has pre-recorded webinars that we offered towards in the spring. And one of those webinars is Cami and Canvas. So if you weren't able to make the live webinar that Brenda will be doing, you could go to the site that's in the chat and watch the webinar there.
Teresa says, can you show me how you would use this to mark text like a newspaper article? Do you mean highlight text? It would work in the same way, depending on, it would be interesting, like I said, because it's a newspaper article. If it's more recent, then you can probably download it as a PDF, run OCR on it like we talked about, and they would be able to highlight things within the article. So that would be an option if that's what you were thinking. But yeah, any document that's a PDF file, they can highlight by clicking the markup, and they can draw boxes around anything that they want on a page. Okay, so highlighting anything would be easy for them to do. So April, I get that message as well. If it says you already have the free educator upgrade, that means you're fine, because I have it as well. All they keep doing is extending my trial. So they know that we live in California, our school district's not open, so they just continue it. So I believe I signed up for mine in March, and originally it said I had a 30-day trial, and now here we are in August and it's at 49 days. So it's actually going up as time goes on. So yeah, multiple people have said that their trial just keeps getting extended. So yeah, I wish they didn't have that there, but they do. But that's kind of fine, because it still means that your educator account's going to work. What does OCR stand for? It's like optical something reader. That's a good question. You got me. I basically
Optical character recognition.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, if you so people who make professional PDF files that are editable use OCR. So being able to use that on PDF files that are, you know, just scans, that's where it's kind of usually a problem. So if it was just scanned, like on a scanner, it might not have used OCR, but now Cami just lets you add that OCR when you upload the document. Can we scan a map page, not create it, save as a PDF? Yep. Anything that's a PDF can be moved over to Cami. And what's great is even if you annotate it and save it, you can load it up in something else. So it's not like there's no such thing as a Cami file. Okay, it's not turning it into a Cami file. It's still a PDF. So even if you annotate and download it with all the annotations on it, that's just what the new PDF file looks like, and you can still open it in other things. You know what? You're going to get trained on how to add apps to your Student My Plan. Unfortunately, I don't have a teacher account, and they can't give us a sandbox teacher account where I could go in and show you what that would look like. But I know that at the training that you're going to receive when you guys go back to the classroom, you guys are going to be trained to use ClassLink. The reason I go back and forth between ClassLink and My Plan, it's like My Connect and Canvas. It's really called ClassLink, but in order to keep it so people aren't like, what's ClassLink? That doesn't make sense. They just call it My Plan. But yes, you'll get training on that when you go back.
So Jason and I will be on for just a few minutes longer. Again, if we were not able to get to your question or you have other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat.
Yes, Kimberly, OCR is used. All the good features with Adobe, unfortunately, cost money. So yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to use it on here.
Jason, somebody had asked where you got the first day interview from. Do you remember by chance, or can you share a copy of it in the chat?
We'll add it but as you can see, it's from Parent and Child Magazine. I will add it to the presentation. So remember to bookmark that presentation and come back and look at it later. Again, that video might not be up for another 48 hours. So just making sure that if you want access to all of this later on, to bookmark the presentation.
I also just added our email into the chat. So if questions come up after this training, feel free to reach out to us at edtech@powausd.com, and we will answer you as soon as we can.
And this was asked at the 8 a.m. session a lot. You know, if you want students to do work, can the text box already be there? If you have, if you want, you can actually go in yourself and maybe I'm going to draw on, no, I want to shape. There we go. And like, for example, say you wanted them to write in this box, you can do this and save it as a template and then send that to your students. That way, when they get in, they'll click the text box and they'll know that they need to, made that one too big. I want to do that. So now I want a new text box. And that way they know that they can write it in that box that you create. It's not required. Anywhere the student clicks, like this is like my grade this year is, they can click right here and say, you know, and then they can move it around if they want. But yeah, so they create the box themselves. But yes, you can make boxes using the shape tool if you feel more comfortable doing that. And Alyssa, is this information available to parents? We are going to be making parent videos that explain like Cami as a tool. We're not going to get into explaining like we just did now. We just really want them to know that when you say Cami, they understand that it's a PDF annotator, that their kids use it to do PDF worksheets and documents like the one you see here. But we're not going to do a training like we're doing with you right now. It's more like a video to let them know so that when you are asking them, you know, to use Kami or their student to use Kami, they know what you're talking about. But yes, we are doing a parent academy where there's going to be videos as well as some documents and resources for them to go over so that they do know that stuff. And we're hoping to have Parent Academy up by the time that school begins. I'm not sure if it'll be 100% ready to go, but we plan to have a lot of, you know, these videos talking about like Flipgrid, Loom, Kami, Canvas, and all these tools that we are using. And can teachers be provided? They're going to be on a special place on the Poway USD website. So yes, you'll have access to those videos. And did you download the Kami Chrome extension?
Yes, I did.
Okay, let me see something. All right, I'm gonna try something. If you click, if you're in Google Drive, and we're doing Google Drive training next week, but I'm gonna click New and More, and let me see, do I even see Kami on here? Yeah, what I've noticed in the past is people add the Kami extension, and usually it means you have to shut down your browsers and restart, like it doesn't load up immediately, because we've done this training before and we've realized the extension doesn't work right away. But usually you can start off by, like, when you're done here, closing your browser completely down and then opening it back up. And then when you go back into Google Drive to see if the Kami extension shows up then, because I had the same issue when I first installed it. It wasn't letting me do that opening Kami from right here. See, this says connected apps. More. And maybe it's done through here too. And I'll show you that right now. So when you click New and More, you can actually connect apps to your Google Drive. And what that means is if those apps, for whatever reason, have like a different file ending or they're just a different type of tool, you can connect it. So how about we do it that way? When you do that, go to New, More, and maybe you don't need more. I have way too many connected apps. Click Connect, More Apps, and then search Kami. And you'll see mine is installed. If yours isn't, make sure that's installed by clicking on it. Yeah, I think I messed up. I know the Chrome extension's great, and because you can click on it, and let me move. There it is. But it seems like the Kami extension just sends you to your page. With ClassLink, not as needed as much, but it's still another way to get to it quickly and easily. But yeah, if you want it in your Google Drive, you're gonna have to connect the app to your Google Drive. And that's just good. So if you are interested, I'm doing my Google Drive training a week from Thursday, I believe. Now, maybe not that far away. It is next week. I think it's next Tuesday. We're going to be going over Google Drive, and that's just part of it, how to connect apps to your Google Drive account, all the things you can do in Google Drive that maybe you didn't know about. So just giving out a plug for my training next week. And we have about 5 more minutes here. So like I said, just to finish up, this presentation will be up and updated over the next couple of days. So if you check it out then, you should see a lot more resources. And again, if you have any other questions about Kami, email them to edtech@powayusd.com, and one of the coaches will answer you. Someone asked, how do you get Kami to show up on your toolbar? This is actually a Chrome extension. So if you're on the presentation, it's the first link on slide 3. So all of these are extensions that you see here. Extensions they basically are like shortcuts for web tools. They help you do something that maybe makes your life a little bit easier. So in this case, that Cami extension opens Cami automatically.
Jason, will you show really quickly how you get your extensions to show up on your bookmark bar?
Yeah, so over here on the right of Chrome, you should see 3 dots. And when you go to that, you should see more tools and then extensions. And all the extensions you have will show up here. And you'll notice, for example, my Bitmoji it's enabled. Okay, some aren't enabled. It looks like ClassLink. I can't enable it, but like Google Hangouts is enabled. Google Tone is disabled. Let me see what happens when I enable it. Yeah. It's probably difficult because my screen's running out of space. Yeah, don't enable Google Tone. But yes, this is where your extensions live. So you'll click the 3 dots again, more tools, extensions, and this is where you'll be able to see everything. So that way, if you want to remove some that you're not using, you can. That way, because your screen is going to fill up like mine, as you can see, it takes up more of the address bar than the address bar. So yeah, you don't want to put too many on there, but obviously I have. So yeah, this is where you can kind of go in and enable them or disable them. That's a good question, Stephanie. They should just show up automatically. Are you saying none of your extensions show up when you add them? And what device are you using? Just so I know. And what browser? Are you using the Chrome browser? That's unusual. Let me see if there's a... Yeah, I am not seeing... Yeah, let me just enable some to kind of see if I see any new ones. Because some of these are automatically put up, like the ClassLink one is automatically forced to be up there. And that's good, Sean. I didn't know that. And I have a Mac and I haven't had a PC in years, so I don't know if there's a difference between the two because it's never made me pin anything on mine. Okay, I see that you can unpin. But yeah, that's definitely it. Shauna got it. It's usually always just added it for me. It's never asked me, or it's never forced me to pin it up there. It just usually loads up. I mean, it obviously will let me unpin.
I just I just Googled it to see if there was any advice, and I'll put it what it said on the site I was on. It said you can go to Chrome/flags in your URL bar and search for extensions and hit disable in the extensions menu and then relaunch Chrome, and it should show you the extensions in the toolbar and in the menu. So I'm not sure if it would work, but this is just an idea for troubleshooting if you want to try it.
Yeah, like it's letting me basically turn off some, but when I turned one on, it didn't it didn't pop up. And that's something else to look into.